Hi.
Just want to make sure you can hear me.
Huh?
Just want to make sure you can hear me.
Oh, yeah, I can hear you.
All right, bye-bye. Testing 1, 2.
You think you know about relationships, but you're wrong. Listen, there's no magic bullet. I'm teaching life skills.
When you sick, you need medicine. It don't always taste good. Nah. But it'll get you better. You need this medicine. Yeah. It ain't gonna always taste good, but this is what you need. Men and women, bottom line, we need to have the conversation. Your partner wants to give up control, but only if you know how to drive. This is about being the best you could ever be, whoever you are. I don't care if you're a man, a woman, LGBTQ, space aliens. I'll save anybody. I don't care. I'll teach a hedgehog how to have a threesome.
What do you mean by that?
Look, you don't have to listen to me, but you're wrong.
Listen, I know I'm great. And I know you're thinking, Dante, there's no way I could be like you. But you could be me, you know why?
Because you know who I was? Before I was me, I was you.
Manschool202. Better hear what I've got to say because you won't get it again.
I'm not an alpha male. I'm not a beta male either. I'm just a better man. Well, put your happiness first, because if you don't, they won't. To go down. What up, y'all? What up, people? What's up? In the building, everybody. Oh, man, here we go. Instagram's not live again. How y'all doing? Always with the technical difficulties. I guess we just not doing Instagram tonight. How horrible. Anyway, what can we do? Let's see if we can set that up. How's everybody doing, man? How's everybody doing? I want to know that first. Let me see the comments. Anybody in the comments? If everybody's doing good. My mic is low. Thank you. Let's see. How about that? Is that better? Give me a thumbs up in the Shamasha. Give me a thumbs up if you if you can't hear me. If you can hear me, that's great. If you can't, let's get it right. How y'all feeling? How y'all feeling out there? Much better. Thank you. What's going on, people? It's good to be here. This was like a little impromptu. I'm trying to decide whether or not I do this every Sunday. If Monday be better. If y'all can, what would y'all prefer? Sunday or Monday, 8 o'clock. Y'all put it down in the comments. Let's see. We got the consultation number down. Got it up 2 places. Phones are open. You know how we do this. Let me see in the comments. What does anybody say about what would y'all prefer? Monday or what's up, Owen? What's up, Rocky the Hooligan? What's up, JN? What's up, the Wired Christian? Shout out to y'all. What would y'all prefer? Sunday's better. Let me see how many. So one Sunday so far. Let's see what else we got. It's 2 Sundays. Ghost Dog Blue 76ers. Sunday. Sunday for the infected. That's funny. All right, I like that. Let me see. I'm excited. Monday night, one Madara, one Monday. So far, we got Sunday, and maybe if I'm in a good mood, I'll do both. How about that? You get a thumbs up in the building for that, for both. Y'all see I put the Cash App. If I know we're on YouTube too, but if y'all want to give me some money in the Cash App, if y'all appreciate what I'm doing, I appreciate Cash App me, please. Cash App's on the scroll on the bottom down here. You could do that. That would be appreciative. Phone lines is open, people. Phone lines is open. I'm waiting. I had a good week. I got a glucose monitor this week, so I'm really on this health kick. I'm trying to get it all right. Trying to get my stripper body back. Get back in the game. Stop playing. The chat's growing crazy. I love it. I love it. I feel good. I feel good. I'm feeling better. I'm feeling good about these lives and the content that we're putting out. I feel like we're really helping people. I really feel like that's going down, and I'm happy about that. I mean, if I could do that, I'm doing my thing. Shout out to Laura, Lightning, Ape, Grape. Everybody's in the chat going. Madara going. Everybody's in the chat. The phone lines are open. This is something I want to. What's crazy is I've constantly find myself. I don't always talk about the downside of fun. Hold on, this monitor's a little crooked. I don't always talk about the downside of following ACE and the principles. And I don't know, I mean, maybe y'all could tell me if it's a downside. But what happens is when you start being the best version of yourself, when you worry about your health, when you worry about your intellect, you're reading books and you're exposing yourself and you're living good and you're keeping your word and all those things, you would think that that you would have an abundance of friends. Not so much, guys. Not so much. People respect you differently. Yes, that is absolutely true. People accept you more. The downside is the fact that I don't think Dwight said they assume that you're selfish because you put your happiness first. I don't find that. My biggest problem is I don't have a lot of friends. I mean, that's why I'm online with you motherfuckers, because you find that you're less tolerant about nonsense, just the bullshit that you would normally put up with. What also happens is your life is changes in that life doesn't happen to you. You make clear decisions about your life. The scariest, I've said this before, the scariest thing and the greatest thing that I've heard in the course of my life was that that you don't really have any limitations, that you can be you can don't block, do not block the wire. He said in the count, he says he's having a hard time not blocking somebody. This is the problem with that. The problem with that is you gotta not block. Here's why you don't want to. I don't want to get into that. Let me finish my point. I'll get to you in a second, the Wyatt. And if you want to call in the Wyatt, we'll talk about it. So what really happens a lot of times is there's a situation where clearly we're in a situation where you become less tolerant of the bullshit because you operate in your life on a level of honesty and credibility. What you find is you start to see how many people around you are not that at all. They're not that at all, and you gotta. The problem with that is you don't tolerate it anymore. You stop tolerating the nonsense. There's stuff that you just can't put up with anymore because it becomes literally a situation where you no longer. Thanks. Somebody sent me on the cat. Alex Salas, thanks, bro. I appreciate it. Sent me $5. I appreciate you, brother. What happens is you can't tolerate the bullshit. What is obvious to you is not obvious to everybody else. You see when people are lying, you see when people are insecure, you see people, because you've identified these things in yourself and you've got a hold on it. You put a rein on it, and so you see it in other people. So the people that would normally be, what I would call poo-putt motherfuckers who would normally, you would fuck with. You were like, oh, that's how he is. That's how he gets down. You just don't. You can't put up with it anymore. You can't. Because you're in a situation where you realize that time is the commodity. I don't know if I've said that on the lives just, but time is the commodity. And as a 50-year-old, 50-plus-year-old man, I have seen more sunsets than I'm gonna see. And so I'm not willing to waste time with people who don't have their life together. Or I shouldn't say that they don't have their life together, where their life is so reckless that what it does is it puts tension and pressure on mine. I'm not willing to do that. So if I sense that the if I sense that my relationship, the social engagement with somebody is gonna be a problem, I just don't fuck with them. I just stop calling them. And people think I'm jumping out the window because to them it seems like minute and small things. It seems to them like it's small things, but it's not small. Like people, what they do is a direct, it's a direct relationship to who they are, what their constitution is. Oh wow, and maybe it's the receiving calls. Let me make sure I'm on receiving calls. Okay, I think it should be working now. Y'all call in? Somebody call in? Even if you just want to say what's up, let me just make sure that the phone is working. Let me check that real quick. I'm sorry, y'all. I'm still trying. I apologize. I'm still trying to figure this thing out to the best of my ability. And I know I made a call out, so because I called to test it. So I'm hoping that the calls will come in. That's what I'm hoping for. But what happens is you stop dealing with people in a way. You stop dealing with all the clownery and all the nonsense just because you don't you don't have time for it. You know, time is precious. I mean, when you're young and you're in your 20s, time don't matter because you just figure like you're gonna live forever. But trust me, you're not. Nobody gets out of this life, alive. It's a weird thing. But it's then we're surprised when people are gone. That's why when the people hold on one sec. On the on the thing on the Google Voice. Google Voice. Am I supposed to be on air? No, just call it and hang up. Just want to see. Yeah. You realize that time has meaning because of the fact that you don't have it forever. It's not something that always is going to be there. You're not just always gonna. It's not always going to be available to you, and so you treat it with more preciousness. But you also don't waste time and energy with people who are detrimental to. When I was in my 40s, I was like, I was on this thing where I was like, I'm no longer gonna mess with people who don't who are detriment to my life, right? Anybody that was a problem, I got rid of them, right? And then when I got to, damn it, it's not ringing. Shit, the phones are not working. God damn it. Let me make sure we're up. Roadcaster, chat. Damn it. I should have checked this before. God damn it. Sorry, guys. Let me see something if I call myself. Give me a second, people. But what I was saying is just you stop wasting time and energy on people. It just doesn't. It's just not important anymore. And let me see if I call. Uh, Dante. Let's see if it comes through. It's not coming through. Damn it. I don't, I don't know why it's not working, guys. Damn it. You know what? I have a way. Let me do this. I'm gonna come back in 5 minutes. If y'all can hold on, let me see if I can get this shit popping. Apologize. Uh, damn it. I don't know what I did. Damn it. God damn it. No. Let me see if I can set up the other phone number real quick. Yeah, let's do that. All right. Let me see if I can do this real quick, fellas. What up, y'all? What up? What up? Y'all still with me? If y'all still with me, put a thumbs up in the comments. Here's what we could do. Here's what we could do. Anybody wants to put, you can put a call, you can put a question. For some reason, the phone's not working. I'm gonna keep working on that, but you can put a question on the chat, and I'll answer whatever you ask, and I'll expound upon that as I'm still working on this shaman shot, if you know what I'm saying. Yeah, let's do that. Let's see what we got. But yeah, let me get back to this. Yeah, well, this is interesting about this whole live stream is I'm working this out, and it's one of the things that I find more than anything is anytime I consult with guys and I'm trying to teach them, you know, how to be better at the social interactions and stuff like that. Everybody wants it to happen. First of all, you got to forgive yourself for not being great at it. That's the first thing I think you got to do, because moreover than not, nobody would ask you to be perfect at something. Unless of course, you know, unless you had practice. It's never a situation where somebody is asked to be perfect at something without practice and without work. So it's an interesting thing that as men we take a lot of time. As men we take this perspective that we're supposed to two things that men are supposed to be good at with no practice is sex and relationships. And the bottom line is, if you haven't had experience, you're not going to be good at it. You know what, too? What we could do is if I get a call in the, let me see. I'm going to make a call to somebody who I think called at 812. I'm going to see if I can, I'm going to call back. Let me see the first call that I got here. 81010. All right, I'm gonna try and call back like we did last time. See if we could do that. So anybody that I got the call from, I'm gonna try and call them back. See if we could do that. I was able to do that last time. Come on. Calls in the call log. Nah, I'm not able to do that either. This thing is freezing up. I apologize. But anyway, all right. I'm a queer female. Here we go. Wait, let me see. Okay, let me see. We got them in the calls. Let's do this then. What advice would you give for laying the 5 bricks abroad where you don't know the language well? I don't know why I'm calling myself now, but that's good. Yellow? Hold on. Am I getting my own call now? Hold on. No. Hello? Oh, that's better. All right. It's me again. I don't know why I'm calling myself. That's weird. Anyway, here it is. The advice for the 4 bricks when you don't know the language well. No matter anything you do when you're abroad, I think it's even. You're gonna learn a few words. You're gonna know a few words, and you're gonna struggle through it. And what I think is, if you're trying to lay the 5 bricks in, you have to be able to speak the language. But even the fact that you're limited, that your language is limited, is kind of adorable to somebody who's from the language, who they're comfortable with their language, and they've and now they're talking to you, and you're struggling to kind of communicate with them. I remember dating a girl who was Dominican girl who spoke very little English, and we were dating. And what I find that the relationship was great because all this shady shit the sidebar shade that you would give and the nuance shade that you would get in a relationship. We never got it because we didn't even understand each other. It was really basic and really honest. So yes, I think you have to have, if you're laying 5 bricks abroad, you still have to have a few phrases or something, and even the fact that they're awkward. I think us not being uncomfortable that with the awkwardness to just say, this is honestly who I am. I'm not from here. Nobody expects you to speak the language fluently, and to use the few words that you have. And usually what happens, there's a bond that kind of builds just from her teaching you the language and helping you pronounce the other things. So I don't really think it's any different than anything else. I mean, we have Google phones, we have Google Translate, so all of those things are really easy to kind of get phrases, and you can even hit the button where it tells you how to pronounce it. And the fact that you don't pronounce it well, or it's awkward, or you don't understand the pronunciation, if a woman will find that attractive because of the fact that you're making an attempt to communicate, and you're confident enough to make mistakes and just be yourself. So I don't really think that's a problem at all. Well, if you know enough to communicate, I think that's more than enough, Owen. As shout out to Owen. Here's another one. Let's see. Let's bring this question up. Rocky. Dante, if you could shed some light on growing out of your relationship. I'm 36, and it feels like time to make a big change and move on. Okay, so I look, I think that we have to understand. I think there's an understanding of some things that we have now that we didn't have in the past. You know, people don't always, how should I put it? People grow in different directions, and that's okay. But the question is, I think when you ask these questions, I'm assuming that when you ask a question like that, what you're saying is that you're basically getting bored. And I want you to understand that if you're the masculine entity in this relationship, it is your responsibility to keep the sparks flying. I totally get when you got somebody who's not reciprocating, who's not doing their part. But in the same way, Rocky, in the same way that you pursued this woman, you got to ask yourself if you are doing the things that made her excited, the things that excited her. You hear about this a lot of times. You got, people who get into a relationship and they're fucking in the car and having sex on the hood of the car, in the alley, in a bathroom, and they're doing all these things. They're doing all these things, these sexy things, because they're both turned on and it's new. I think sometimes a lot of times if you think back on what you were doing at the moment when the relationship was hot, the question is, are you doing the same things always? Are you working out? Are you looking the best? And she might not be pulling her part, but if you initiated, I always say that a woman is a direct reflection of the guy that she's sleeping with. And if you start looking better and she's not, she's going to wonder what's up. And that kind of insecurity, there has to be a little level of insecurity that, that you both are important and you both want to hold on to each other. And if you don't have that, then sure, it goes stale. Just know this, like, if you leave this relationship, you go to another one, you're going to have to go through the same things. You're going to go through this newness and where it's going to be on, everything's going to be on fire. And I'm not saying that if y'all have these irreconcilable differences where you just can't get along, or you've outgrown each other to a degree where you're just intellectually, emotionally, sexually that happens. People outgrow each other. But I think as a man, I think that you got to be honest about what were you doing when you met this woman, and how dope were you, and the fact that she reacted to you in those ways, if that makes sense. Thanks for the question, Rocky. Classic Alchemist. Here's her question. I don't know if it's her or him or whatever, but she says, queer. Peace, I'm a queer female. Okay, I'm a queer female. I really appreciate your inclusion. My question is, would a female who dates other females follow the steps and procedures as far as the dating game as a man would. Great question. Thank you, Classic Alchemist. Thank you so much for calling in and listening. So I'm gonna be really honest. When I first started doing this, LGBTQ was not inclusive. By my own admission, I would self-proclaim say that I was homophobic. But I mean, let's be honest, so was everybody in the 80s and 90s. I have soon come to the conclusion to be more inclusive, and I understand it. But what I do understand is this, and I'd like you to put this in the compliment. I'm going to ask you a question, and then you can send me an answer. I've found that in any relationship, whatever it is, heterosexual, queer, homosexual, lesbian, there is always a dominant and there's a feminine. And so what I found up is the principles that we talk about on this show is for the dominant. Dominant being masculine, it's kind of synonymous. And so when you have a relationship, even if you have two lesbians who are what you would call lipstick lesbians, there's always one that's always more dominant. There's always one that one is the caretaker and one is the one that gets taken care of. It's just the way it is. One likes the other one more. I mean, we find these same principles. And so, yes, absolutely, the same principles apply. And so your level, when you have somebody who finds you attractive because you're the masculine aspect of things, without a doubt, all the principles stay the same. And we're talking about authenticity, credibility, and empathy. Reasonable, fair, and firm. I talk about this a lot of times. RFF, reasonable, fair, and firm. Is anytime there's a conflict, we have a situation when we go, is what I'm asking for or what my partner asking for, is it reasonable? Am I being fair about the situation, or am I being selfish or inconsiderate? And am I being firm about what my non-negotiables are? People have their non-negotiables. I say all the time, relationships are really easy in that relationships are easy. You got to know what your non-negotiables are and then never negotiate them. So whatever that is, and that goes to the whole idea of ACE in the first place, that you have to be authentic, because you got to be honest about what your non-negotiables are. So say, for instance, if let's say hypothetically we talk and we say your non-negotiables is fidelity, right? That means when somebody violates that, when somebody steps out on you, you have to leave. If that is what now, I'm not saying you should or you shouldn't. I'm just saying, based on the fact that you have in your mind gave this great thought about the honesty of it, and you said that infidelity is non-negotiable. Then when somebody violates that, you have to leave. Because what you're saying is somebody did something to you. You've already told them. I would assume that you already told them that infidelity is important to you. Fidelity is important to you. And they're violating it anyway. Now, what I'm saying to you is not that I'm not saying that people, I've said this 1,000 times. Two things that people will always have to do is give forgiveness and ask for forgiveness. Always going to happen. We're always going to make mistakes, and people are always going to make mistakes. We're always going to have a blind spot, and we're going to do things that offend each other and whatnot. And if we can apologize and we can look at each other and make changes with the apology, I don't think you can be a better human being. So whether you're queer, if you're the masculine or you're the feminine, if you're the feminine, then I would say this. What I say to women all the time is have the same empathy that you would want to have from somebody else. I mean, it's as simple as turning it around. When we ask us, are we being fair? I think what we're asking is it okay? Would I want to be treated like that? And if I don't want to be treated like that, then I just don't treat people like that. I'm not saying that you can't want something different. Like, you can be in a relationship and say, look, I'm not monogamous. but there has to be an honesty to that. You have to verbally say that, and then you give somebody an opportunity to make a decision whether or not they want to be part of that. And if they don't want to be part of that, that's fine. But then you find somebody else who is. But here's an interesting thing. I use this analogy all the time. When you take an Uber, you need two things. You need to know your current location, meaning what your non-negotiables are, and what your destination is, where you're trying to go. If you don't know those things, the Uber is never able to pick you up because he doesn't know where you're at, where you are presently located socially, emotionally, or otherwise. And when you get in the car, you're not going to know where to go. You can't just tell an Uber to just drive. I mean, you can, but it's probably really not fiscally responsible. So thanks for calling Classic. I hope that answers the question. Was dating before cell phones easier? I don't know. I mean, you had to. I think you had to have the balls to go up and say to somebody. You didn't have the apps. You didn't have Facebook. You couldn't hit somebody up and then feel. I mean, you had to go up to somebody and go, "Look, I like you." In one way or the other, you had to go, "I like you," and you had to take the rejection right in the face. It wasn't like you DM somebody and they never responded back, and you had to deal with that aspect of it. You had to go to somebody and take the rejection in the face. So I definitely think it was more difficult back then. I mean, I think you also built a skin. I mean, I come from that era, so there's a certain toughness and a callous that you get, like that. Just because somebody doesn't like me, it doesn't not define me. So I have a thing that I talk about often when I call the Antique Roadshow. I don't know if anybody's seen the Antique Roadshow, but it's like a little weird show that used to be on PBS back in the days. And what would happen was somebody would find a Tiffany lamp in the garbage, and then they would clean it up and take it to this show, and they would say, "Well, I found this Tiffany lamp. How much is it worth?" And people would go, "Oh my God, this is back in the 1800s and stuff. This was made by so and so. Look at the signature. This is worth $10,000." So when I ask people a lot of times, what was the Tiffany lamp worth when it was in the garbage? And most people say it was worth nothing because it was in the garbage. Then I ask them a question like this: what happened if you took $10,000 and you put the $10,000 in a paper bag? You took that bag and you threw it in the garbage. What is that bag? What is the contents of that bag worth? And everybody says $10,000. So my point is, the value of something doesn't change simply because people are not smart enough to know that a Tiffany lamp with this signature on it and this artist who did it. Just because they're not smart enough to know what the value is doesn't diminish the value. Does that make sense? So when somebody is, just because somebody doesn't like you or you're not their cup of tea, it doesn't diminish your value, especially if you're consistently working on your own value all the time. If you're trying to be the best version of yourself, and you know you're kind, and you know that you're honest, and there's a confidence that comes with that that's undeniable. There's a confidence to know that when you look in the mirror, you haven't done anything to anybody. You've always been kind, and sometimes it almost, you can also get into a situation where you start to go, whoa. You can also go another route where you go, woe is me, I'm such a good person, and people treat me like trash. What you don't understand is people treating you like trash. Trash people treating you like trash is the best thing that they could ever do, because they're telling you who they are, and they're letting you know that you need to not mess with me. Leave me alone. I'm a garbage person. And 99% of the time, people don't act that way because they have something personal against you. Most of the time, they act that way. Why? Because they have their own issues and you just happen to be in the way of them. And so, you'll find you maybe date a woman who is comes from a very abusive family, or you'll date a woman or date a guy who comes from a very unaffectionate family who always said that he wasn't shit. Or what. I know when I say this, I'm always careful because I know people are triggered by this because people have this experience. You ain't shit. You ain't never gonna be shit. You get a single mother and she hates your father, and they're separated. You look like him, and because you look like him, you're a representation. You become her emotional. You become her emotional punching bag, and then you spend this whole life getting this reinforcement that you ain't shit. And then somebody goes out into life, and they're angry and they're insecure and they're hurt, and they don't ever really have this point of healing and so on and so forth. So they get into a relationship, and then hurt people. It happens all the time. So understand something. This is why it's so important for you to be the best version of yourself. Because if you're the best version of yourself, you don't have to worry. Nobody can tell you ain't shit. Nobody can call you a thief if you don't steal. Nobody can call you a dirtbag if you're kind to people. Nobody could call you dumb if you're well-read and you're smart. There's such a confidence that comes from somebody calling you something or talking to you about something that you know that you put the work in it. There's no way that you're a PhD out of Harvard Law and somebody says you're dumb. The criticisms only matter when we're insecure and we're wondering whether or not those insecurities are reasonable. So that's my point. Rocky the Hooligan. Let me bring his up real quick. Rocky says, where is it at? It says they've been together for 13 years. The sex is great, but it's more than personal growth aspect. My question to you, Rocky, is what are you doing to help her personally grow? Are you exposing her to things that she's not been exposed to before? Take a salsa class, take a tango class, travel, do some things with her that you wouldn't normally do, and take her out of her bag. You might inspire her. I was married twice. My first wife was absolutely not the brightest person in the world. And I kind of got her, and she went to, I told her part of her, she was actually a stripper. I was like, oh, look, I'm not marrying a stripper with a kid. She had a stepdaughter, and I was like, you're bringing nothing to the table. And she quit stripping, and she got a job, and she enrolled in college. And then I helped her get her degree. And then what happened was, after a while, she got so interested in school, it went the other way. Like, she was so crazy about school and learning and getting degrees, and because she started to feel pride in herself. So my question, Rocky, is why don't you see? I mean, I think we have to think about it like this, and anybody who's listening to this, listening to the podcast and listening to coming on the lives, is we are all people who want to be better. You know, we're dissatisfied with life, and we're looking for this direction to be doper than we are already. And so if we're working on that, then what happens, sometimes the people around who have no intention on being better will become intimidated by you, and they'll try and bring you down, and it will be really obvious if you just pay attention. Why are you reading all these books? Why are you always trying to do something? Why are you always trying to... Those are the people that and this is what I was talking about earlier, is where it becomes lonely, and you gotta move these people out of your space, because their intention is that they're just a weight. They become a 40-pound vest that, whereas if you're working out, that's great, put a 40-pound vest on, but don't put a 40-pound vest on of burden, of emotional pain and stuff. It's not your job. Like, I just understand that if you're dealing with somebody like that, understand what you're talking about. That you're taking on this grown person's pain and you're trying to heal them. And I'm not saying you can't do that. I'm not a person that tells anybody what to do or not to do. I'm just giving you, I'm going to look at what your situation is and look at it in perspective and give you the logical perspective so that you can look at it and make your decisions. It's not for me to judge the morality or not the morality of it. So, I mean, that's something I would think about. Ape Grape 1000 says, I'm a Christian. I come from a Hispanic church culture where dating may require asking the pastor for permission and publicizing dating to the church. How would you advise dating in this environment? Oof. So, Abe Grape, this is a difficult one for me, right? Because I don't understand how other human beings who are flawed in their own nature, how all of a sudden they get to have dominion over people. I'm quite sure that your pastor has got flaws. I'm quite sure that the people, the elders in your church have flaws. So it's an interesting thing to have human beings who, for the most part, right? What you're gonna find is older people in general who are gonna be the elders and the pastors and stuff. And let's be honest, they suck. Older people suck. I mean, I don't know any other way to put it. A lot of them have abuse situations. A lot of them have been dawdled and fiddled in their life, and they haven't really dealt with that. A lot of them are not into the pursuit of happiness and self-fulfillment and happiness. And so I just don't understand. It's difficult for me to understand how somebody could have dominion over you and then judge the parts, the good parts and the bad parts of who somebody is, when their imperfection in itself is just blatant most of the time. So I have a problem with that. It's why I'm not religious. I just refuse to let another human being who is flawed in the ways and probably doesn't have the experience or the mental or emotional or intellectual acuity to even speak to me on the level that I would want them to speak to. I don't know if y'all heard I did the live last time I I don't know if he was a pastor or a Christian, and I was like, it's difficult for me to say that there's this higher power, that there's a God that would allow 30,000 Palestinians to be murdered, children and stuff, and you tell me that you have an all-loving, all-knowing God, and that He would allow this. I'm a black man. You can't, for the life of me, say that there's this all-knowing, all-powerful being who would allow black people to be enslaved for over 400 years, whipped and peeled, skinned, and boiled in oil, and babies cut out of their womb. It's just not. I can't believe that. I can't go along with that. But I surely can't go along with somebody who has decided that their dominion over you is supreme. Now let me say this though. I think, so I'm going to put that out there first, my lack of religiosity. But I will say this: any true Christians, people who really follow the word of Christ, have said to me, anybody that I know, even though we go back and forth about religion, my principles do not go outside of the line of if like I believe in that there are things in the Bible, and we're talking about, and I say this all the time, Jesus Christ, the story or what I call the myth of Jesus Christ, is a guy who literally was persecuted because he told the truth. And even after Pontius Pilate says, listen, these Jews want to murder you, right? Because you keep saying you're the king of the Jews. All you got to do is say, no, I'm not king of the Jews, and I'll let you go. I don't even care what they say. All you got to do is say it. And Jesus Christ said, no, this is the truth, and I'm sticking with the truth. So when we talk about ACE, talk about credibility and truth and authenticity, the three principles, I don't think you could be more Christian than following those principles. I just don't. You may not have the dogma, you may not read your Bible, you may not believe all the stories, you may not sit in the pews, but acting in that way is the true essence of what I believe Christianity was meant to be. So, and I think if you're being honest and you're being truthful, I think you're willing to follow those guidelines. Follow those guidelines. I can't see. I would actually, if you're being honest and open about who you are and what you are, I can't see somebody going against you and saying that you're a sinner or shaming you or something, which is, it's all this shit that, that religions do to people. And I mean, I've been, I was Catholic, I was Christian, I was Baptist, I was in the cult for a while. I did the gamut of all of it, and Muslim and everything. So, and it always comes down to somebody having dominion over you. But I also understand, I respect, and I understand that you, we grow up in these societal norms, and this is all we know. But I would say if you're being honest and you're keeping your word and you're being empathetic and you're being honest about what your feelings are, and somebody can't accept that, I think the person that you got to look at is the person that's putting dominion over you and treating you like trash or saying that you're not a good person, because I don't believe you. I truly believe this in all my heart, that you can't be a better person than somebody who is honest, credible, and empathetic. I don't think you could be better. So that's my take on that. This is as concise, which I don't think it was concise, but as concise as I could be. Yo, the Cash App, hit me up, y'all, please. I'm broke. I need money. I want to go see my son. Live in Riviera, what's going on? He's sending this question. I have an uncle who gets bored super fast, that he's been married like 6 times, and I'm aware of it. It's crazy. Sure. But the thing is also, the question is, why does he get bored fast? Is he looking to other people? To entertain him, like I really enjoy my own time. I mean, today was Sunday morning. I was in the house all day. I read books. I did research. I was preparing for the live today, and man, it just, I like myself, but I find when you have people and they don't like themselves, they're looking outside of people to make their life better, to fulfill their life. And you're the only one that it's nobody else's responsibility. And if there's any women that are in the chat, or women that are listening, understand this. It's not a man's job to make you happy. I think there's always room for compromise, and you want to share things with people. I mean, that's the beautiful aspect of having relationships, is that you're sharing your life with people and sharing your thoughts. I mean, how dope is that? And I think we take that for granted. But if somebody's looking to other people and the people are not emotionally available, that's usually people that you want to stay away from, because what they're going to do is they're going to treat you like a Kleenex tissue. They're going to blow their nose in you and toss you when they're done. So that's what I got to say about that. How would you, here's one. I think this is a gate. I'm going down the line, so the quicker you put them in, I'm rattling them off. How would you advise dating the proper authenticity, integrity within my Christian environment? I think if that's a question that you could look at. You could look at this question and see that you're already saying authenticity, credibility, and empathy. If you have a Christian environment and they're not accepting of that, you got to look at the environment. There's something wrong with the environment, because there's nothing wrong with you. And then people want to put dominion over you or agency over you need to do this. If you don't do this, then you're not this. And these are these arbitrary things. If you don't go to church, and so if you don't pray 5 times a day, let's be honest. Even if you believe in a supreme power, and this is a supreme power that's all knowing, all loving, all giving, all creating, right? And he's creating universes. Let's be honest. Do you really think he gives a fuck about where you put your dick and where you don't put your dick? I don't know. If I was building galaxies, right? I don't care what a 3-year-old, which blocks a 3-year-old, whether a kid likes Legos or Lincoln Logs. It just seems to me like this is absurd to think that somebody of that magnitude, if there was a being of that magnitude, would care about where you put your dick. What we're talking about is a social construct that societally makes us a happy, healthy as human beings, and relationships, ethics, and morals are present because without those, we don't survive. Understand this. This is something that I don't think people know. Human beings haven't been farming for over 10,000, just a small period of time of 10,000 years where human beings stopped hunting and gathering. And when we put pegs down, when we actually started to farm, right? That is the first time that there was possession. So let me explain what I mean by that. There's a book out called Sex at Dawn, an awesome book. What it talks about is the different stages of that human beings have gone through. If you believe in evolution, if you don't, I don't know how you square that round peg. But we know that human beings didn't become farmers until 10,000 years ago. 10,000 years ago is the first time we put down pegs and we started planting crops. At the time that we started planting crops, possession, paternity starts to matter, because I grow my vegetables are for my children, and so now that's when possession and jealousy and fidelity and all of these things become a thing. Prior to that, imagine a bunch of people, 30, 40 people in a cave surviving. I hunt, I kill something, everybody eats. Somebody else kills something, everybody eats. Your kids breastfeed off of my wife, we fuck each other. There's just it's a free for all, because we are as a commune, almost a single unit, and we survive off of each other. We don't have paternity and this idea of sex shaming and you're not supposed to do this and fidelity so it's really not a product of morality. It's a product of necessity, because I want my genetic line to continue, and so my vegetables need to go to my children and my offspring. That's where it comes from. Anybody tells you any different, they read a book on sociology. So I appreciate that, Abe Grape. I appreciate you, but that's where I'm at with that. I'm not gonna lie to you, man. I mean, I'm not a religious person, but there's such contradictions so often. I can't not speak on it, because for me to not speak on it would mean that I personally would be inauthentic, and I'm not going to do that for you guys or nobody else. None of y'all are that important that I would compromise my own integrity. Hate to say it. No matter what, no amount of money, because the minute I start to do that, I lose everything that I've gained, the respect, the confidence that people have. Whoa, there, Kev. Hey, Dante, thanks for being dope, LOL. What's your advice on trying to set up and being a throuple? I think that you need to be in those spaces where a throuple is possible. Don't be at an Ape Grapes church trying to set up a throuple. There are people that understand something. I know that in the scope of our own being, in the scope of us, in our lives, we think that everybody does this or everybody does that because it's only what we see. The point is there are people who are polyamorous. There are parties for polyamorous. There are websites for polyamorous people looking. You got to be in those spaces, and if you're in those spaces, you make yourself available to those things. If it's just sex, or if it's just ultimately having a relationship with multiple people, this is happening. I learned this before, like back in the days when I was stripping, man. There was a strip show every day of the week, multiple boroughs at one time when I was running around in New York. And I would take some square dude from the phone company with me, and he would be like, "Yo, y'all do this. This is a Tuesday. It's 800 women in this spot on a Tuesday." Yes. So what I'm saying is there are things that are going on that we are unaware of because we have this tunnel vision about who we are and what we see all the time. And believe me, there's a whole other world out there where people, they don't do nothing but thruples and polyamory, and that's for men, women. Otherwise, you can find what you want. You just got to be willing to make the sacrifice, be patient, and if you're honest and you're credible and you're empathetic and you're working on yourself and you are a prize, trust me, you'll find that. Danny Boyle, what's going on? How do you deal with a woman's insecurity that comes from the victim mentality? I'm assuming when you say victim mentality, was she a victim or does she just have a victim mentality? Because if we're saying that somebody has been through some real trauma, I absolutely advocate for therapy, for deep, intensive therapy of somebody's. But if you're saying somebody has a victim mentality, I'm assuming that this person finds themselves always the victim, no matter what the situation. That's what I'm assuming. If you can drop something in the chat, and I'll see what you what you mean exactly. But I'm assuming a victim mentality is something. It's almost like a phobia, like a fear of something that doesn't exist, and she victimizes herself because this is a way of her manipulating herself, or this. I mean, look, you got sick people. People are broken. If this is who she is, then you got to honestly make a decision whether or not, if you want to be with somebody who's never going to take responsibility for their mistakes. There's always going to be woe is me. It's what I call a chicken little syndrome. I've dated some of those where every time something happens, it's the worst thing in the world, and it's the sky is falling and the world's going to end, and they're telling you you're going to have earthquakes in New York City. It's crazy. So, I mean, if that is Danny, if that is the constitution of somebody, that is at their core who they are, you got to decide whether you're going to put up with that. And if not, you got to move on. I mean, because it's not going to change. Or you have to confront them about this victim mentality. And if they're denying it and telling, because a lot of times they'll tell you, "Yeah, you're crazy. That's not me. I don't know what you're talking about. You don't know me, whatever." If you're going through it, all you got to do is keep stepping. And if you're of value to her in her life and you step away, you might have an opportunity for some change. But you trust me, if you're sitting there dealing with it every time and just gritting your teeth and bearing, you're not discussing, you're not communicating, it ain't going to change. So that makes sense. Ella Yup 6, he has 3 kids from. I'm not sure what that is. Live. He says Yup. See, I'm not sure what that is. I'm gonna have to move. Professional help from a psychologist help my happiness. Absolutely. I mean, there's people you gotta. I think here's the one thing I would say about psychologists and psychiatrists. I think that you need to have a goal. Don't just go to a psychiatrist and psychologist and just let them take your money. You need to have a goal, something that you're working on, so that you're not just, so somebody doesn't just milk you for the rest of your life when you're paying money to them. So I think you got to keep that into consideration. Class notes great back in the day. I think you started No Diddy. I'm not sure what I said that wasn't No Diddy. There's women here. Yes, there are women here. Amen. Thanks for Classic Alchemist. Sent me a super chat, so I appreciate your response. Can you drop the 5 bricks to follow? I've heard it said, but can't find the specific video where you explain it. I'll tell you what. I'll explain it on Tuesday, on the live on Tuesday. I'll give a quick explanation. So tune in then, and you get it right from the horse's mouth. Okay. Shinobi says, who has cheated on me years ago? I've forgiven her. Oh, let me bring this up so y'all can see it. Wait 1 second. Let me show Classic Alchemist in his super chat. Hit me with the damn truth. Thank you, brother. I appreciate it. Every little bit counts. Thank you. All right, let me talk to Shinobi. Who has cheated on me? I guess you're saying dealing with some woman who was cheating on him years ago. I've forgiven her, but for years I'm constantly waiting for her to abandon one who wants to be with me. I don't have the self-esteem to date. What should I do? Okay, so I'm assuming what you're saying is that she cheated on you. It hurt your self-esteem. My guy, here's what you got to do. You got to be the best version of yourself. If you're sitting here worrying about who's going to cheat on you or when they're going to leave, Doug, you're wasting time and energy instead of working on being the most attractive person that you can be. You should be in the gym. You should be reading books, traveling. You should be going to museums. You should be going places. You should do things that you want to do. Ask yourself, what do you like doing, and then do it. And then dedicate the time and the energy to doing it. There's nobody that I know that's sitting around who's actually active in their life, working on their own personal greatness, who's sitting around. You don't have time to sit around and worry about whether or not somebody's going to leave you. And trust me, anybody can leave anybody. It can happen to anybody. Be clear. It can happen to anybody sometimes, and it's not always personal. Sometimes people outgrow each other. Sometimes people change. Sometimes people are toxic and they get their shit together, and then you're toxic, so it worked at the time and it doesn't. There's not the one thing that you can count on is change. What you can do, the only thing that you can do to give you any kind of what we consider job security or relationship security is be the best version of yourself. Be better than everybody else around you so that she has no choice but to want to be with you. If that makes sense. I mean, if somebody leaves me, I'm like, all right, good luck with that. You'd be hard pressed to find somebody who's smarter, who's more empathetic, who's kinder, who's more generous than me. It would be a hard nut to crack. And to be honest, Shinobi, I'm not trying to talk to your girl, so she's good. Just be the best version of yourself. It'll all work out. And if it doesn't work out, who cares? You'll find somebody else. They'll be knocking down the door. I promise you that. Getting the Wired Christian puts up, he says, getting rejected by a flawed person. Here's my point with that. I kind of talked about that. The flawed, just because somebody doesn't have the, it's like this. I mean, I'm old enough to be around the crack era. I'm quite sure there's some neighborhoods who is the crack era. But if a crackhead comes to your house and they have a Fabergé egg, if somebody doesn't know, Fabergé egg's a little porcelain egg and it's worth millions of dollars. So I found this. I robbed somebody's house. I found this egg, and here, give me $100. You give them $100, right? To them, this is what it was worth to them. To you, because you're smarter than them, or because I don't know if because you're more aware of what the value is of a Fabergé eggs. Now you just bought a Fabergé egg, $1 million Fabergé egg for $100. Just because somebody's too dumb to know what your value is doesn't diminish what your value is. Doesn't matter what the crackhead sold it for. It matters what it's worth. And sometimes people are not even able to discern that. And that's, we're all at different places. I've been okay, this is Shinobi again. I don't move on. How do I go about doing this? Here's the thing, Shinobi, if you're having a problem with this, you're saying, I've been in a 17-year relationship. I've always felt like I shoplifted the cat. I've been married to her after she cheated on me. I'm in a situation because she was the only one who liked me. You need to book a consultation. DanteNero.com, click on consult. I can't do this over text message. You need to talk to me. And if you're going through this kind of problem where you have this imposter syndrome like this, we can fix this. All of these things are fixable. It's fixable if you're really willing to do the work. It's easy, but it's not easy. I should say it's simple, but it's not easy. It takes real work and real sacrifice, but it's always better than feeling like you're inadequate. That's always better than you being in a situation where you're sitting around waiting for the other shoe to drop. So that makes best way I could say that. Book a consultation. Don't forget, y'all, please follow us on Patreon. I do a lot of technique and stuff. Go in a little deeper on the Patreon, and this patreon.com/manschool202 that helps support me to keep doing this and pays for the lights and the computers and the microphones and stuff. So if you could do that. If not, you can cash at me. I'm right here. Cash at me. I'd appreciate that too. So yeah, Shinobi, hit me up, man. DanteNero.com, click on consult. We'll fix you. I promise you. Zen Master of Sports says, I ain't about what the fuck? I'm talking about them other cats. Oh, okay. I ain't talking about them other cats. All right, I get it. My man. Thanks for listening, yo. Let's see. No true Scotsman fallacy. I'm gonna go into this a little bit because no true Scotsman fallacy. I think it's important for us to understand logic. If you're in question of don't know what that means, no true Scotsman fallacy means it's like shaming somebody into doing something. It's a manipulative way of what you call a logical fallacy. So everything that I do here is about specific ethics and credibility and honesty, but it's also about logic. And there are certain ways that people get to where whatever their belief system is because they're not using true logic. This is something else. I mean, people ask me what books to read. There's a book called Get Anybody to Do Anything by Lieberman, which is one of the best books. I've read that book maybe 8 times. And but get a basic book on logic. Logic is really important because you know, a lot of times when I'm doing my consultations, I'm talking about I'm basically listening to what you're saying, and then I'm throwing it back at you in a way that you can understand it in a real sense. That where I remove the emotion so that you can make the decisions that you want. I'm not holding you to any ethical standard, but I'm giving you an obvious, and most of the time the logic brings you to your own personal honesty. So the no true Scotsman, like for the Christian that talks, it's like no good Christian would ever date before 17. No true Christian would ever have sex before marriage. No truth. That's what the no. It is setting a premise that is if this person gets dominion to decide what the parameters of being a true Scotsman is, and then they arbitrarily decide that. The real question is who the fuck are you to decide what makes a good Christian? I mean, this is why I have a problem with religion all the time, is because who is this? If you look back at I'm quite sure I forget the person who put the question in, but if you look back on your pastor, I guarantee that there's a bunch of shady shit that he's done. There's shady shit that he does now because he's human and whatever else. And so I really don't understand how somebody has dominion over people when they're flawed and I really don't get how you can hold people to a standard that you think is right. And most of them are not. Most of those dudes are not even educated. They're not even educated. This was their belief system. If they were born in Iraq, they would be Muslim. If they were born in Bangladesh, they would be Sikh or Hindu. And now becomes your overall belief system because you've been programmed into that. It's just to me, it's just a real lazy way to go about life instead of seeking truth. Rocky's in it, and you're in it to win it, Rocky. My biggest problem with following the principles right now is not lying to hurt people's feelings. The times that I fight the urge to lie and be blunt, I've been getting better responses. But the bottom line is, look, here's why lying is a no-no. Because once you lie, it's what I call the Judge Judy effect. Once you lie, you have no credibility. That means that nothing you say is truthful. So that means when you tell your girl you love her, how does she know that you love her? Because you tell her, but you tell lies all the time, even if it's just little lies because you don't want to hurt somebody's feeling. The importance of your honesty really brings brings it home when you understand that lack of credibility means that nothing you say matters, and that's why everything that you say has to matter, okay? So, I mean, I understand when you say I'm working on it, that's bullshit. When you say I'm working on it, what you mean is that you're not doing it. Because it's easy. It's difficult what the response is. I understand there's a fear, but you could just say the truth. People will respect you, and your words will carry weight. We all know somebody that talks all the time, they lie all the time, and what they say doesn't matter to us. The question is, do you want to be that guy from the other perspective? The one that compromises, and man, I'll tell you, it's an amazing phenomenon. When I open my mouth, people listen because I do not lie. So people are really a lot of times, even in my personal life, people they're nervous about asking me questions because they know I'm going to tell them the truth. You know? They know I'm going to tell them the truth. And if they don't want to hear the truth, then they're not going to ask me. I had a girlfriend I used to date, and she would be like, I want to ask you something, but I'm not sure if I want to know the answer. And I was like, well, you let me know. She'd be like, you know what, I'm good. You know, to have somebody have an understanding of what your personality is to that degree is a beautiful thing. Because you don't deal with the bullshit. It's just like, do I look fat in this? I don't really think that's really flattering to you. Well, what you saying? What you saying? Trying to say I'm fat? Yeah, I'm saying you're fat. I'm gonna give you the off ramp, but if you insist on pushing me, because ultimately when somebody does that, they're trying to bully you. They're trying to bully you, and I'm not gonna be bullied. Not with somebody that I'm trying to have a relationship with. Okay. Abe Grape says, yes, I do believe sex matters, but I appreciate your perspective, Dante. Thank you. Despite our disagreements on religion and views, I agree with you 100% in the concept of ace. And I appreciate that, man. I also believe that there's nothing more Christian than ace. You know, if I had to say something, I would say that. Bigger family has harvest and the smaller families want to marry into the winter. I don't know what that means. Yeah, you could, Tupac, you can ask the question. That's the whole point. Put it in. Put it in the chat. In fact, you put it in and pair bonding is seen in primates. You are conflating the dynamics to fit your own view. I disagree. I don't know how I'm conflating the dynamics. But okay. I mean, I don't know how I respond to that. I disagree. It happens. Okay, here it is. Pair bonding is looser in primates due to them being impish. Pair bonding and social contracts in general, sacrificing self-indulgence for the fruits of cooperation, are an example of the essence of what a human is. Yes, absolutely, Antonio. I don't disagree with that. What I'm saying is that the pair bonding that happens, we make a decision. Fidelity and monogamy and things like that. Those are social constructs that we create in the confines of society. That doesn't mean that there's not an instinctual bed that exists underneath that. The desires, the instinct that we've had since animals. I've said this, I talked about this on the last live. When you look at a plug, like a plug that you plug stuff in, we see eyes and a nose and a mouth, or eyes and a mouth. Why? That is a genetic response to our defensive posture to predators. If you know about Darwinism, and what we're talking about is Darwinism and the evolution of human beings, that happened genetically because the people who could, the human beings who couldn't see faces in the foliage they were attacked and killed. So, if you understand the idea of Darwinism or evolutionary science, we don't lose that unless it is detriment to our survival. So, absolutely, you're right. There is a pair bonding that exists, and monogamy and those social constructs. We decide as a society for community. Absolutely, but to say that those instinctual bonds don't exist as a bed that seeps up through relationships is absurd. I disagree with that wholeheartedly if that's what you're saying. I hope I'm not going too deep. Anyway, but thanks, Antonio. Thanks for the comment. Iktar Bajal. Hey, Dante, I've been listening for a long time. As the philosophy has evolved, are there any original philosophies from the beginning, early stages of Beige Phillip, Black Phillip that are still valid? I think we would talk. I mean, I don't know, because I think, but I think we always talked about putting yourself first, putting your happiness first. It's one of those things that, like when you're in a plane, how they always say, put your oxygen mask on first, even if you have a child there. The whole point is because you can't operate if you're not healthy, if you're not operating from a healthy perspective. So yeah, I absolutely believe that is one of the principles. I don't even know why it matters. I'm so tired of talking about Black Phillip and Patrice. I love Patrice to death, but the myth of what you guys think it has grown outrageously to something that I would have never even imagined that people kind of worship him in a way. And don't get me wrong, he was a brilliant dude, and I miss him every day. He was one of my best friends. But this idea, I've had guys go on my videos and comment. They don't agree that Patrice would be disappointed in you, as if they know him. It's weird. Weird. Let me see. I think I'm gonna shut it down. We did an hour and 30. Okay, here's Trupak. He sent in a question, so I want to get this done. Hey, question. I have PTSD and trouble dating since I lost my mother at a young age. That loss I project into women in dating when I see things go south. Abandonment issue. Any tips? Absolutely. This is a really great question, because I love this stuff, and what it shows is that, first of all, the fact that you're aware of this. I want to say, man, I got to give you props for that. Just being aware of making this connection. That this comes from this. I have a little technique that helps. So I had when I was young, I was a scary kid. I know it's hard to believe. Really quick, let me read this super chat. CeeLo sent me $5. Happily married with kids. How do I manage my personal freedom to relationship with the kids, wife, etc.? Also, can you recommend 3 books, please? I'll do that right after. Let me take care of Trupac first, and I'll hit yours next. Let me get back to Trupac's question. Philosophy about find it. Yeah, here it is. Trupac in the building put his question up so y'all can read it. Here's my thing. The simple fact that you recognize that this is what triggers this, right? Most of the work is done. I have a little because what you're recognizing is that when a relationship goes south, your response to this has nothing to do with the relationship going south or to the woman that you're dealing with. You know that this is where you're triggered from something that happened in your past. And I know this is going to sound crazy when I say this. Stop doing it. But I'm going to give you a technique. I know that sounds easier. Like it sounds like I'm belittling the fact that you have this PTSD. But what I will say is this. The fact that you're aware of this means that you know when it's happening, right? And you just don't have that control. I have this little thing I used to do. Where anytime I would be afraid of something, like if I was afraid to ask a girl out to dinner or ask a girl out to dance at a party, even as a kid, I would panic. And I've always said this, that fear exists between the time that the opportunity is presented, right? And how long we take to access that opportunity. Meaning that whenever there's something that happens, we go right to the worst parts of things, and we start. And then the longer we wait, the longer we wait to access the opportunity, the more the fear builds, and then the fear becomes paralyzing, right? So I came up with this thing. I used to do this thing called armadillo, armadillo, armadillo. I would spin around twice, slap the floor, and clap twice, right? I know that sounds like a ridiculous thing to do, Trupac, but it doesn't have to be that. But what it was, imagine you're talking to somebody, and you start to get this feeling and you do that, right? Somebody's going to say, what the fuck was that? And you go, well, you can explain this. It's like I'm triggered through PTSD because I lost my mother at a very young age. And then what I do is I have a tendency to connect the two together, and then I throw the baby out with the bathwater and I start freaking out and I'm triggered by it. And so this gives me an opportunity to redirect my thought process. Now, the absurdness of doing that, right, stops the thinking. Not only that, because it's embarrassing. True, it is embarrassing. Second of all, somebody's going to ask you, what are you doing? And then you explain it, which reminds you of the path that you're going down that normally you would go down without any thought, right? You would normally feel this, be triggered, and then you would start doing the shit. But this stops the thinking where you got a moment to consciously redirect what you're, you have a conscious moment to redirect your thinking, right? And that worked for me. Eventually it gets to the point where you don't have to go armadillo, you don't have to go through the process where you can stop that, what I call the stinking thinking, and then redirect that stinking thinking to another direction. You understand that you are reacting from something that has nothing to do with the woman that you're dealing with. Makes sense? I hope that helps, man. It helped me a lot, and I've told a bunch of guys that, and they use it, and they're really surprised about how, they're really surprised at how it changes the thinking, because it just stops the process. All right. Real quick, I want to do this super chat. Happily married with kids. How do I manage my personal freedom to my relationship with the kids, wife, and you recommend 3 books. Okay, so here's the thing. This is, again, that's the same principle I was saying. You got to put your oxygen mask on something. Because sometimes as fathers, because as we consider our manhood is attached to our ability to provide and to be available and to work. But we don't do enough for ourselves. So you gotta have something that you do for yourself. Because if not, then you don't fill that tank up. You don't get to recharge the energy. To me, I always kept a motorcycle. I always had a bike. I always had a fly car. These were my distractions and stuff. And so even when I was doing, I took salsa lesson for 3 years. I took tango for 2 years. I did martial arts. But you got to do something for yourself where you are unavailable to them for an hour or two a week or something so that you can recharge. It's important. 3 books I would recommend is Get Anybody to Do Anything by Lieberman. Sex at Dawn is a great book also. And 48 Laws of Power. Pretty good book. And both are like reference books. I mean, honestly, if you learn Get Anybody to Do Anything, that book, read that over. Every time they teach you a principle, it's life-changing, okay? I'm going to go through these last few real quick, and then we're going to shut it down. I'm sorry about the phones, guy. I'll make sure that we got that up and running again. Maybe I'll do a live tomorrow. I'm not sure. We'll see how I'm feeling. There's a girl interested in me. This is by Abe Grape. Hold on. Put it up. I hope that helps you, Tupac. There's a girl interested in your injured. She lives about 4 hours away. I met her a while on the job, but I didn't pursue it out of professionalism. Should I add her on Facebook, slide in the DMs, and what do you recommend? Doug, listen, the simple fact that you're asking this question says to me that you don't think that you're worthy of this. You got to do what you want to do. The whole point of you telling the truth and is to take up space. I talk about this. A lot of the guys who I consult with, DanteNero.com, click on consult. Don't forget to like and subscribe and hit the bell so whenever I'm on a live, y'all get the notification. But keep in mind, but the point is that the fact that you're asking this question, it's almost like you want a strategy. Here's the thing. If Michael Jordan is playing basketball against 5-year-olds, he's probably not watching game tape. You know why? Because it's 5-year-olds. The only reason why he would watch game tape if he's playing a consummate professional, a rough team, and it's the playoffs and stuff, and he needs to be ready. What I'm saying is you're asking me these questions because you don't think that you're worthy of this. You don't think you're worthy of this girl. So what? You want to slide in her DMs, slide in her DMs. You want to give her a call, give her a call. Another thing, as I say this all the time, y'all guys don't call. You don't pick the phone up and talk to somebody. How are you going to have sex with somebody who you don't intimately speak to them on the phone? They don't hear your voice. They can't hear you breathe, the cadence of your voice. We got to stop doing that. You got to pick up the phone. But the fact that you're asking for the strategy means that you don't believe that you're worthy, which is what I call shoplifting the pussy. Abe Grape, make a consultation, bro. That has to be dealt with. The fact that you don't even know this woman. You don't know what her value. You don't know her gooch could smell like hot garbage. You don't know any of this, but you've already put this woman on a pedestal because you don't want to be rejected because you don't think you're worthy of enough. And that's something that we have to deal with. That has to be dealt with. There's no way around that. So, man, get a consultation. We can fix it. All of this stuff is fixable. Let's see. Jonathan Cleofat. Dante, your productive and output is truly impressive. Your prolific nature shines brightly. Thanks for being inspiring. Thank you, man. Thanks, man. Appreciate you for listening. Sihang, LOL, did we already miss Dante talking about Fresh Prince, CEO of Fresh and Fit? Yeah, I didn't talk about them today, but getting his Asian import wife pregnant. Yeah, we did it. Actually, go to the website, manschool202. I have a video up about that and how he's simping and whatever. It's just trash. I really feel sorry for those dudes because they're in a situation where they're so fraudulent and they're teaching guys fraudulent shit. I'm running down. Wanted your thoughts on a situation between me and a coworker. Had her cheating on her long distance husband with me for a few months, but shit got weird quick can I call? You can just David Martinez. You can do I can't. I mean, if you want to call me on the, I'll have the phones up on Tuesday. You can call me on that. For some reason the phones weren't working today, but you can call me on that. Call me on Tuesday. Armadillo, I'll try it. Thanks. Truepox says, Armadillo, I'll try it. Sounds out of the ordinary, but I can see why it works. Yeah. Probably. Shut up. Don't be shitting on each other in the comments, okay? This is a family, y'all. Y'all got to be good to each other, because let's be honest, ain't nobody else good to us, man. I fucking love y'all, man. Thank you so much for listening. I might actually be going to on live on what you call it, you know, on Monday. I'm really thinking about it, but thank you. Tell a friend. With that, they do the Sexual Revolution podcast. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share, comment, tell somebody, man. Tuesday will best, especially be on it. Don't forget to hit the bell so you get notified when I go live again. We're gonna make this a regular thing, so family, stick with me. Please, the Cash App is there. The patreon.com/manschool202. Yo, I love y'all. We out of here. Peace.